Today I'm sharing with you how I was able to modify a new look pattern to create a dream dress of sorts, my personal kind of dream dress for a semi-formal event that I recently had to go to, where I was able to recently wear the dress. Stay tuned, I'm about to break it all down. And welcome to Dining Creativity, or welcome back if you're returning. Either way, I am always so happy that you're here. I'm Rachel Ann, and I'm here to share my sewing journey, the highs, the lows, a little bit of everything in between, and I'm just so happy that you're here, so welcome. Before I jump into the actual content for today, there are two quick things I'll be sharing with you. The first one, I always like to share if I'm wearing a garment that I sewed. So this was a top I sewed up quite a while ago. It is a Vogue pattern, and let me tell you that Vogue pattern is 1871. If I recall, because it has been many months since I've sewn it up, I really enjoyed working with this pattern. I think that the fabric choice very much helped. This is a cotton sateen that I had ordered from Mood Fabrics. I got a panel of it, but I highly, highly recommend this pattern to test your skills, and it really wasn't too difficult, if I recall correctly, to work with. However, as you know, depending on the fabric, it can change the difficulty level of the pattern. At least that's my personal opinion. Before I get started with today's video, I want to do something that I have never done before, but recently the handbag company Teddy Blake reached out to me to ask me if I would like to receive one of their bags to talk about it on my channel and give a brief review of what I thought about the actual bag, so that if you've ever been interested in purchasing a Teddy Blake bag, you know what to expect. So without further ado, let me get into it. The first piece is that the bag arrived very promptly. It was packaged and the presentation was lovely. There are no complaints about that. When I actually removed the bag from the packaging, I was very pleasantly surprised. It is an absolutely gorgeous bag. So one of the things that I liked about the bag is the hardware. I chose the olive green Lydia Dollarino bag, I believe. And I am a big fan of olive green. I think it's a timeless color. It's almost like a beige or a gray. It just never really goes out of style. And so this one immediately caught my eye on the website. I liked the website because there is a huge variety of different bags at different price points. And one thing I did not realize is that each bag is handmade. And so with that being said, you'll notice that there is some lovely stitching, and the inside of the bag is this beautiful suede material. There are no dividers in the bag, which is fine for me because honestly, I keep, my makeup bag, a wallet. I kind of have my own things already divided. I like to just throw my sunglasses in my purse and keep it moving. Emblem on the bag is embossed actually into the bag itself. I like the gold feet on the bottom. And overall, I found it to be a beautiful bag that can definitely suit a variety of styles. It can take you from day to evening, and I liked this particular size because I am the girl who throws everything in her bag and then I have to clean it out later, but I like the added space. My bag is going with me to work. It's going with me shopping. It's out to lunch. I mean, wherever I go, I'm taking my purse. And so it's nice to have kind of a daily bag to take with you. All of that being said, thank you so much, Teddy Blake, for this opportunity. This is, again, my first time ever doing kind of a quick review of a product, but I am very happy to share this with you. So enjoy your purses, enjoy your clothing, your sewing, and I hope you enjoyed this little segment on Teddy Blake. Thanks again. All right, so on to the subject matter of today's video. As you can see, this lovely little garment behind me is my dress. I was very happy with the finished product. There were a couple iterations or different things I had to do to really get it to where I wanted it to be, but I'll share with you right off the bat that this pattern was originally derived from this New Look 6741 pattern. I thought that this matching set was to die for. And when I saw her in her sequins, it gave me the idea that, hey, this could actually be a really cute semi-formal cocktail dress attire event outfit to wear. However, I am not one to really wear a lot of midriff bearing clothing, and so I knew right from the get-go that I wanted to somehow join the top and the bottom together to be able to create a seamless dress. And I'm not knocking midriff showing or anything of that nature, just for myself and my body type and what I feel comfortable in. Let's just be honest. I wanted to create one cohesive dress. And so this was the final product. I'm gonna pan the camera down. You may see my fabric pile down there. I tried to clean it up. First off, I have been holding on to this fabric for probably a year and a half at this point. It is this icy blue, semi-heavyweight fabric that I honestly have no idea what kind of material it is, but I originally had purchased it to make kind of a flowy top, but I realized it would make a gorgeous dress. Now, the only piece is that, and this may even be a tip, this is probably something that you have a level of awareness on already, but there isn't hardly any, if at all, stretch to this. So that became a little bit of a precarious situation when working with the skirt, because I certainly didn't want to make it so tight that I was uncomfortable, but also not super loose, because this particular fabric does not have a lot of drape. It's certainly meant to be more of a structured type garment. So really and truly, if you decide to use this particular pattern, make sure that you don't add the belt here and just join the two. Make sure you measure the bodice so that you can extend it to be, and I'm gonna sneeze. Okay, I'm back. Allergies. Make sure that you can measure the bodice so that it hits on the part of your body that you want it to hit. For me, that number, I know at this point, it's 14 inches. From the top of my shoulders down to the thinnest part of my waist is, and I like that a garment falls and I like that a garment hits on that smallest part of my waist and then kind of flares out a little bit, but I know that is my number. And so I just encourage you to think about what would be your number that you're comfortable, that you feel all garments kind of hit you at the spot that you want them to hit you. This particular pattern goes from size 6 to a size 18. It is rated average. I would agree with that rating. There were some modifications that I made, not only in the conjoining of the bodice and the skirt, but also in moving the zipper from the side to the back. That was just a choice I wanted to make because I knew I wanted to add these kind of puffy, elasticized sleeves with the elastic casing on the bottom, and the zipper for me would not work on the side per se. So that's just another tweak that you can easily make. This particular top does have each piece being completely individual and separate. So you're cutting out multiple pieces, sewing them together, which I always think creates just such a lovely look for the bodice here. It's the equivalent to basically sewing a big dart all down the front, except you're just conjoining all those different pieces together and then sewing the top and the skirt together. With that being said, if you decide to join it, you'll just have to make sure that your pieces hit at the same place. That was something I was nervous about because the skirt, if I'm not mistaken, I may have sized up one because some of these patterns, when I look at the finished garment measurements and after I measure the pattern pieces themselves prior to cutting them out, I start getting a little bit nervous, you know, thinking, okay, that's gonna really give me a very low margin of error. And you know me, I always do my French seams. Until I get my serger, I'm gonna stick with my French seams. And so the inside of the garment is very tidy, very tailored. However, My biggest concern, like I was saying, was making sure that the top and the bottom actually fit in one cohesive piece. I ended up taking it in on the sides in several places, I think even at the front, just to get it to fit in the very specific way that I wanted to. So, you know, with any kind of garment that you wear, you're always going to have to probably do a little bit of tailoring. And so this dress was no exception. For the sleeves, I had just gotten done making those several tops out of this particular McCall's 7946 pattern. And so I had those elasticized sleeves and how they attach already kind of in my repertoire of skills. And I really like the look of the elasticized banded sleeve and then that square neck. You know me, love a good square neck. So I just used this pattern. I extended it so that it would actually, instead of hitting at the 3/4 sleeves, go a little bit longer, which worked out. It kind of hit right at my wrist because the event I went to was outdoors, and so it did get kind of chilly, and I was glad to have the long sleeves. The slit is the other piece here that I share, and excuse my patterns. I tried to tidy it up, but now you're seeing the mess. The slit here, it lasted perfectly all throughout the evening. I had even reinforced it, but when I was finally getting out of the car to come inside my house, it did tear ever so slightly. So that's one little repair I'm gonna have to make. So please excuse that for today's video. But the slit was very easy. You can pick which side of the skirt you want it to be on. And you're basically, as you can see, these are all panels. And so to make the slit, you just don't sew all the way up one of these panels. You leave it open to where you want it to hit. That was the other thing. I left the slit originally where kind of it fell on the pattern itself, which, you know, in retrospect, I could have waited on that to see where it was going to hit on my leg. And I actually did end up having to take apart the original slit I had sewn to raise it up a couple inches because I am on the shorter side. And sometimes I feel like these patterns are made for somebody who's like 5'6", 5'7" and above. And it just wasn't high enough for my liking. So I raised it up some. So when I think about using a different sleeve, as you probably know, it's a fairly seamless fit. The main thing for me is just maybe even trying the sleeve on with the dress and basting it to see, do you like the outcome? Do you like how it's going to look? In this case, I really did. And so I'm super happy with joining together the 7946 sleeve with the new look 6741 pattern. The final piece that I will share, and I will totally be transparent and out myself here, the top gaped a little bit. So I ended up taking it in. However, this was really, number one, my first experience working with this kind of heavyweight fabric. And number two, kind of making such an extreme tube top. Okay, so granted, I have worked with this pattern several times, but the neckline, honestly, on the two tops I had sewn, it falls closer together. So I didn't have to worry about gaping, and you've got elastic going across the front in these, so you don't have to worry about it falling open. This little baby did give me a run for my money. I attempted several different methods to try to tweak it and get it so it lay completely flat, and I almost achieved success, but then it became so tight that it was uncomfortable. So I had basted to see if I could, you know, just tighten right here. It wasn't working. And in retrospect, I should have just gone on the side and tightened that up first. So that is just a helpful suggestion as you work with this particular pattern. Honestly, what I ended up doing is buying, because, okay, again, the gaping wasn't super bad. I ended up taking it in, and you know what? I can't even, oh, on the back. That's where I already have forgotten. I ended up taking it in. You can kind of see here at the top. The back to me was the easiest and the best place where I could pull some fabric. I ended up taking it in about a 1/2 inch on each side. So the gaping wasn't bad, but again, I didn't want it to be too much tighter. So I bought clear adhesive tape, which if I find it, I got it on Amazon. It was like $10 maybe. They give you a ton of different strips, and literally on the front, just put a couple panels of that fabric adhesive clear tape right across my chest. No issues all night long. So that's always a suggestion. You know, as my skills increase, I'm sure I can learn to tailor those pieces better with more experience. But for right now, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Overall, I was just really, really happy with the final outcome. You know, there's something to be said about sewing up your own garment and liking it better than what you've seen in the store. I remember I tried on one dress and I left, my husband was waiting for me. I said, babe, somebody cut that pattern out wrong, because it was a one shoulder dress and they had left way too much length on the left side, I believe, where it zipped. And so it had a big old goose bump there. Now, granted, that's probably a result of my body type, because I'm not super tall and lean per se, but it just goes to show, I mean, when you're at the store, sometimes these garments are just strictly created for one body type and one body type only, and I'm not about that. I do not like that. I would rather just make something that I feel really good in, that suits my short frame, if you will. So be encouraged, create your own garments, enjoy, and that's really all I have. It was such a fun project. I will totally do something like this again, but I would love to hear if you've ever sewn a semi-formal dress or a formal gown, how it turned out, if you have patterns that were relatively easy to use, to modify. I'm always open to hearing those suggestions. But as always, I hope you are taking great care of yourself. Continue creating, happy creating, and be well.